You don't hear yourself do it anymore. The sorry that comes before the question, the small apology you offer before you've even asked for anything. Sorry to bother you, but I know you're busy. This is probably stupid, but you soften your voice. You make yourself smaller. You give people an exit before they've even heard what you're asking for. And you've been doing it for so long that it no longer feels like anything. It just feels like manners, like consideration, like the way a person is supposed to ask. But somewhere underneath that, somewhere you don't look too often, you know what it really is. It's the belief that needing something, anything, is already too much, already an imposition, something you should be forgiven for already. You learned this before you had words for it. That asking was risky. That need came with a cost. You watched the way faces change when someone wanted too much. You felt the shift in the room when a request landed wrong. Or maybe you just imagined it. You're not sure anymore. And you decided without deciding, without even knowing you were deciding, that you would never be the one who caused that shift. You would ask for less. You would preface more. You would give people permission to say no before you even finished the sentence. That way, if they rejected you, at least you saw it coming. At least you learned to beat them to it. You were young, maybe 6, maybe 9. You needed something, help with homework, a ride somewhere, just someone to listen. And you asked, and maybe they sighed. Maybe they said, "Not now," without looking up. Maybe they helped, but their body said something else. Tight shoulders, a clipped voice, the feeling that you had interrupted something more important than you. You don't remember the words, you remember the feeling, the way you suddenly felt like you were in the way, like your need had made you a problem, as you should have. You don't even know what you should have done differently. Just that next time, you apologize first. You let them know you knew, that you understood your request was already an imposition. Now you're grown, you have a job, maybe a partner, maybe people who love you, and still, you can't ask without apologizing. You send the email and read it back 3 times to make sure it sounds humble enough. You rehearse the question before you say it, finding ways to make it smaller, easier to refuse. You say, "No worries if not," before they've even had a chance to answer. You give them the out because you need them to know that you're not like those other people, the demanding ones, the ones who expect things. You're different, you're easy, you won't make them uncomfortable. But it's just another way of saying you don't believe you deserve what you're asking for. So you're giving them permission to agree with you. In relationships, it gets worse. You want something, a conversation, more time, to be held, and instead of saying it, you circle around it. I don't want to be needy, but you're probably tired, so I know this is a lot, but you wait for them to reassure you that you're not too much. You need permission before you can receive anything. And if they give it, there's still a part of you that doesn't fully believe it. A part that's waiting for the resentment to show up later. The sigh, the eye roll when they think you can't see. The moment they finally admit what you always suspected. That loving you takes more than you're worth. You're always waiting for that moment. Always bracing for the proof. Here's what no one sees. The exhaustion of it. The constant calculation. How much can I ask for before I become a burden? You track every favor like a debt. You overcompensate after receiving anything, giving back twice as much, so no one can accuse you of taking more than you gave. You don't want to owe anyone. You don't want to be the one who needs more than they earn. So you shrink, you apologize, you make yourself easy to love by making yourself almost invisible to care for. And people do love you. They love how low maintenance you are, how understanding you are, and how you never ask for anything. They don't know it's because you're terrified to. They think it's generosity, it's fear with a better reputation. Sometimes you watch other people ask for things, directly, without the softening, without the apology, and something in you tightens. Part of it is envy. You want to know what that feels like, to believe your needs are neutral, That asking is just asking and not an imposition wrapped in shame. But part of it is something uglier. Judgment, you think, how can they just ask like that? Don't they know they're being... You can't finish the thought because you know what it means. That you've turned the rules you made for yourself into rules for everyone. That your survival became a moral code. That somewhere along the way, you started believing people who ask without apologizing are doing it wrong. But maybe they just never learned what you learned. Maybe they got to stay. Maybe they were allowed to need. What you wanted back then wasn't much. You wanted someone to say, ask me. Ask me for what you need. You don't have to earn it first. You wanted a place where needing wasn't dangerous, where your request wouldn't cost you anything. You wanted someone to see the apology for what it was. Not politeness, not humility, but a small child trying to take up less space, still trying to make sure that if they leave, at least they can't say you were too much. That's what apologizing before asking really is. It's not CA consideration. It's a preemptive. It's saying, I know I'm a lot. Please don't punish me for needing. You should have been able to ask. That's what children do. They ask, they want, they reach without calculating the cost. But you learned too early that reaching could hurt. That need could make you a problem. So you stopped reaching, or you reached, but only after apologizing for your arms, only after making sure you wouldn't be too heavy. And now, even when people offer, when they say, just tell me what you need, and they seem to mean it, something in you can't let go. You give them the small ask, the easy one, the one that won't test whether they really... You're not sure you could survive finding out they didn't mean it. You've been protecting yourself from that moment in your whole life. People call you considerate, thoughtful, easy to be around. They don't know what it cost to be that easy. They don't see the needs you swallowed because they felt too big to say out loud. The things you wanted and never asked for because you couldn't figure out how to make yourself smaller first. They see someone who never imposes. They don't see the child who decided, a long time ago, that their needs were already an imposition, that asking for anything was already asking for too much. You're not considerate, you're careful. One comes from abundance, the other comes from somewhere you don't like to look. You're still doing it, still softening, still apologizing before you've asked for anything, still making it easy to say no to. And somewhere in you, there's still a child who believes that needing is the same as being too much, that asking is the same as risking everything. You're not asking to be loved. You're asking to be forgiven for needing love at all.